I've been walking around my aunt's apartment complex for like 10 minutes trying to find somewhere that's not so busy to film, but I guess people have places to go, things to see. We want to be outside as well. So just going to talk a little bit about what I'm going through right now, and it's been a lot. This has been a very triggering month, but I think it's a good thing because I remember before I came here to Atlanta, I remember specifically asking the universe to like help me get to the root of a lot of the things that I felt were holding me back, because I just couldn't figure it out and I didn't understand why I couldn't get past certain things, why certain things bothered me so much, and I felt like I didn't really have control over my reaction. And I was just watching myself react a certain way, but I didn't really know how to intervene. I didn't really know how to like stop, because it felt like it was just how I reacted to things. So anyway, yesterday was probably the most triggering day I've had in a really long time, because it had to do with one of the source of my triggers, which comes from childhood. Anyway, not to be melodramatic, but I did move out of my home that I've lived in. Well, we moved in there like 8 years ago, I want to say. That's what my mom told me. We moved in there like 2010, 2011. And it was the last house that I lived in with my mom. And now she's getting a new place and I won't have any roots there. And it was like my last tether to Atlanta is no longer mine. So it was just saying goodbye to that. And I also just feel like I'm in the middle of a huge transition in my life. Today I sort of had to like nurse myself from the amount of anxiety and the triggers that I've experienced yesterday. And so I spent the better half of the day just letting myself rest and giving myself space to disconnect a little bit, because one of the things I really wanted to work on was healing my inner child and getting back in touch with my inner child, and of course coming back to the place where I lived a lot of my youth. But I was also really anxious, and when I get really bad anxiety, I'm paralyzed. So I was like sort of getting through that, but it just spiraled into this huge thing. And so anyway, I'm riding in the car with my mom. I'm just in the back seat having a full-on panic attack, and my panic attacks are silent because for pretty much a lot of my life I've kind of had to suppress my feelings. So naturally when I'm in a panic state, I'm still used to suppressing it. So I was just in the back seat. I was just like so triggered because it felt so reminiscent of what I went through as a kid, and it was just mind-boggling because I went from having my friends be so helpful and supportive and make me feel comfortable and safe, and then I go somewhere where I receive the exact opposite of that. And how that shows up is I have a lot of trust issues like embedded in me, because I feel like someone's kindness can't last, and I know that's not true, but that's just what I believe, because that's what I've experienced. I didn't really have room to make mistakes. It was always a catastrophe. I was expected to be perfect. I was expected to not make any mistakes, and if I did, it was just the worst thing I could possibly do. And I am always triggered when someone is upset with me, because I just immediately turn it on to myself and feel like I can't do anything right. I didn't grow up in an environment where I was told, oh, it's okay, you tried your best. It was always, you should have done this. What a dumb thing to do. Yeah, I've been experiencing a lot of negative self-talk, and a lot of my insecurities show up in my relationships now, and even that makes me feel like a burden to someone else, because then they have to deal with me trying to talk myself through that. I really just want to touch on the fact that I've been doing so much inner work, and I feel like I was making a lot of progress, and then I come here and it's like challenge after challenge after challenge. And yesterday I just had a breaking point and I couldn't do it anymore, and I completely shut down. Like I said, today I spent the better half of the day just laying down. I took a nap, I ate, but I really could not move. Like my body felt paralyzed. When I was finally able to get up, I drank some water, ate some food, took my vitamins. Want to get better at taking my vitamins, because I think I really just need to nourish my body more. I really just wanted to have this as a reminder to myself that you can do so much and everything goes so well, and then it can all come crashing down. Like I think of moods and experiences exist on a pendulum. So it's been like this, like on the positive side it's been good for so long that of course it's going to go to the other end of the spectrum. You know, this universe operates on duality. There's two opposite ends to a spectrum, and there's everything in the middle, and you experience all of it. A lot of my horoscopes and just like tarot readings, everything sort of eventually circles back to having balance, and that's something that I think I really need to work on, like just balancing my mood, just like making sure I'm like in the spectrum, like in the middle. I can like teeter from positive to negative, like that's just life, but just try to remain grounded. Just because I went back into that survival state, just because I went back into shrinking myself and being really mean to myself, that doesn't mean that I haven't made progress, and it doesn't mean that all the work that I've done was for nothing. I really just want to set this as a reminder for myself, and I guess to you that's watching, and I'm going to choose to see this as a positive thing. It's very retrospective because I was able to, even though I was in that state of being where I felt totally helpless and a burden and just incapable as a human being, I was able to sort of watch myself and watch what was going on and like have a pulled back perspective on the entire situation. I realized a lot of ways that my mind processes things and where that came from. I recognize I don't align with it anymore, and I'm letting it go. I'm just gonna say it. I'm letting it go. And just because I say I let it go doesn't mean that I'm not gonna think that way anymore. It just means whenever it comes back, I'm going to make the choice to step in and to rewire the way that thought form goes, because as soon as I started going down, I couldn't stop, and it just kept going, and it didn't stop until like an hour ago, and that happened yesterday, and I pretty much had to suffer through that alone. It was just one of those humbling experiences where I had to realize that this is my journey that I'm on, and I have to do what's best for me, for my sake, and do my best to cause the least harm to myself and others through my interactions. So it's tough, it's scary, it can be hard, but I know I can do it, and I know that I'll feel better. Right now I'm still shaky, like literally I'm shaky, but at least I know that I don't have to stay here. I don't feel trapped, and I can grow from this. I can choose this to be an experience that I recognize as something that I don't want to have in my life. I don't need to experience it. So I don't know what this video is supposed to be, but I'm just going to say this. Don't feel bad for relapsing on your mental health progress. You are strong, you are capable, and you are not your thoughts, especially the bad ones. Yeah, I'm gonna go back inside now and continue resting, taking a little bit more of the sun on my walk back. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. Stay safe, guys.